Hi everybody, welcome back. Good to see you guys today. Good afternoon. My cat just hanging out. So we're going to do our midterm review session starting today. We got two installments of that, part 1 and 2. So today's part 1. We're just going to go over the first half of the study guide, everything up till the midterm, and then we will move on from there on Tuesday and do the second half of the study guide. I send it as 2 documents today by Canvas a little earlier in the morning, so we're going to use those to guide our review sessions. I'll be right back in a second, but anybody that's here, feel free to say hi. It's good to see you guys. Hope you're having a great week, and your Thursday's off to a good start. I'll be right back. Hello, hi guys. Good to see you. Andy, Mario. It's done. Hold on. All right. So yeah, if you haven't already done it, I would say pull up the copy of the first midterm review guide. I mailed it to everybody through Canvas this morning. It's the same one though that I sent and distributed to you guys earlier in the semester too. Since the test is cumulative and we have 2 review sessions, we're going to just use today to go over the first half and Tuesday the 19th to go over the second half. So it would be good for you, I guess, to have access to your copy, whether you're pulling it up on a separate window or you have it on your phone or you printed out a paper version, because we're all going to be involved and we're all going to use that document today. Okay. Just a few more minutes, about 2 minutes, and we'll really get going. Nice day out there today. Later on, I might go for a little jog or something, just kind of get outside the house for a bit. And yeah, hopefully your guys' other classes are going well and the semester's coming to a good, successful conclusion for everybody. About another minute and then we'll get going. But like I say, if you're already watching, definitely feel free to say hi. It's always good to see who's here and just kind of interact a little bit a few times a week. Hi, Ruby. Hey, Andrew. Good to see everybody there. Okay, you know, a couple seconds until 12:45, but might as well just jump right in. Welcome back, everybody. So it's Thursday, May 14th. This is our critical thinking class there at Orange Coast, and this is the 12:45 to 2:10 section. Hey, Robert, good to see you too. So I guess everybody knows the plan. I was trying to mention that just a few seconds ago. We've gotten through all the notes in our class. We've learned all the material that I was going to teach you from the book. So we have 2 periods now set aside for the review of the study guides to get you ready for the midterm, or sorry, for the final exam. Next week, Thursday the 21st, is the day of the final. So a week from now, you guys will be taking the exam. I'll distribute it through Canvas the same way that I've done the recent quizzes and the midterm also. So you'll get the document through Canvas, and then you'll have a window of time to complete the information and return it back to me. Hi, Wes. So yeah, we've only got a couple of meetings left together, so they're devoted to the review sessions. The study guides, I mailed to everybody earlier today. The midterm study guide is the same as before, and I also sent you this morning the post-midterm review notes. So that's what we're going to use for Tuesday. Today we're going to use that first one. So I invite you guys, if you haven't already done it, to simply pull up that list so that you can connect the commentary and discussion in the review session with the items that are on the list. So here's how I want this to go. The best, most efficient way we can get through all this information quickly and also create a permanent record of the answer information in the live chat is to divide up answers for individual students to track down information for it. So can you guys do me a little favor? I know already some of you have said hello, but for anybody that's right now watching, just please one more time in the live chat, write out present or here. It's like an informal roll call. I just want to see all those that are here so that I can quickly take the next step in our review session. And if we do this efficiently enough, we may be able to finish a little earlier than the official normal class time. So yeah, again, go to your live chat and just type in that you're present, and we'll go from there. Okay, so Amber, Hilario, everybody, this part, this will be the easy part, just writing out that you're here. Okay, 3, 4, couple more. Even the people that already said that, that already typed a comment, just again, to make sure that you didn't like step out or something, that you're watching me right now, type in that you're present. So I'm seeing it starts with Amber here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, good. Andrew, are you still here? And okay, Robert, you're there. Andrew Goff, are you hanging out here? And then Andy Comito, you two guys still in the house? Okay, Andrew, I see you. Andy, I saw you above. Okay, sorry. So what we have here is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and Wesley. Okay, yeah, I got you. Okay, good. So looks like about 8 of us are in attendance to participate. That's a solid number. I mean, obviously, you can't control what everybody's doing during these new days where everything's online. It's no longer face-to-face. But it's good for you to be here in the live version of this because you can both participate and get the most value, the most bang for your tuition bucks. Okay, so pay attention now. Okay, so I see one more. Phi, good, thank you. So that brings us to a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 of us. Okay, great. Here's the plan then. Look at the study guide, and we're starting at the top of the first one, chapter 8 from the textbook. Now, I'm simply going to give one question to each of the students that are listed there. And your job is pretty simple. Using the book, using your notes and your memory, and any combination of all three, you just have to supply the information for the one numbered item that I'm giving you. And then type your information into the live chat. When you type it in, please also place the number in the response so that I can quickly note which number of the study guide that it was. And here's the other thing. There's a 200 character limit on the chat. So sometimes you may have to give information that goes beyond what you can write in just one bubble of text. Therefore, it's fine to continue and just write continued in the second one. Okay? So now please do pay attention. I'm going to give each one of you guys a number. By the way, Ruby, you're still here, right? Yeah, I see you. Okay, good. I keep looking for the same word present, but it's like my eye just doesn't catch it, so not to worry. Okay, so starting off then, Amber, you're going to have number 1 on the list. Number 1. Hilario, number 2. Okay. Andy, number 3. Jasmine, number 4. Wesley, number 5. Ruby, you're number 6. Robert, you're going to be number 7. Andrew, that's number 8. Okay, Phi, you're number 9. Okay, so we have 1 through 9. And in the order of the comments here in the live chat, it starts from Amber and it runs down to Phi. Okay, so each of you has one question. Just go ahead and take a minute or so, however long, a few minutes, go find the information. As soon as you're ready to tell us, this is in a way a nice alternative to having to talk in class and feel a little awkward because you're speaking. You're just in the comfort and safety of your home typing. So type out your answer to your designated question and put it in the live chat. And they'll all come in, all the answers will come in. I'll talk to the whole class about the set, and then we'll move on in that order. Okay, good. So Wesley, you're giving us one, great. I'm gonna wait until they're all there, and then we'll go over all of them as a batch. So I'm just waiting for the other 8 to come in. Okay, good. Andy, you giving us yours. Perfect. Nice. We got 2 out of 9 so far. 2 out of 9. Okay, there's 3. So we got a third of them so far. Perfect. Thanks, Hilario, for adding the number. So far, so good. 3 for 3. What's next? Yes, this is a question that you have from the review sheet, Ruby. I'll tell you which one exactly you're giving. Your task is to answer number 6 from the study guide in the first portion under chapter 8. So study guide, chapter 8, question 6. If you could find that answer and type it into the live chat, Ruby, that's all you need to do. Thank you. So far, we got 3 of the responses that we need, and just waiting for a couple students to get theirs as well, but no rush. Okay. Andrew, you're saying that you're having trouble pulling up the study guide. Well, can I help you? How about this? Can you, I'm gonna look on my phone to see if I have it here. And if you're still having that trouble, maybe we could send it in through a different email. Yeah. Okay, Andrew, your question would be number 8 in the study guide under chapter 8. Chapter 8, number 8. Thanks, Wes. Yeah, that's the question there. And Andrew, if you do need the study guide and you cannot seem to, I don't know if it's just that the Canvas is slowing down, but if you would like, you can type in your email and I can try and send you one through my Gmail account, which I can do while we're here in the chat. So let me know and I give you the option. Because it'd be good for you to have the study guide while you're doing this, instead of just knowing only about the one question that you're looking at one time. So, feel free to type in your email address. You can delete it afterwards if you like, because I don't know if you have privacy concerns or something. And then I can use that to send you a file. Okay. Oh, and Ruby, you're having trouble with the study guide too. So, okay, just let's go. Ruby, I'm sending you one because I have yours in my emails here. Okay, I see you there, and Andrew. I now know your email if you want to delete that, if you don't want people to know it. Okay. Okay, so I just sent it to you both, Ruby and Andrew. Let me know. Yeah, sure. Let me know if you did get it and if there's any problem. Then you can let me know that too. Okay. So yeah, I sent to you, Andrew and Ruby, both of the midterm and the post-midterm study guides. We're doing the first one, the midterm one today. Okay. So let me see now how many of the answers that you guys have been able to yet provide. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, so I'm still waiting on a couple. Some of them, I guess, could be a little longer than others, but I want to get them all in there before we go over them. So I see who has yet to provide an answer. Hilario, I got yours. Amber, I got yours. Andy, see yours. Jasmine, thank you. So then it's Wes and Wesley. Yes, I got yours. Ruby, waiting on that. Robert. Okay, so Robert, what's good? You have to do question number 6. So you should be giving me the information about what are some conclusion indicator words. So Robert, what's up, man? That's one of the easiest ones. Let's get it in there. Waiting for Robert then, Andrew, and Ruby. So those are the 3 that we have outstanding. Okay, good. Thanks, Ruby. And then, so yeah, Robert, you're up next. What's good? Let's see. Okay, thank you. No, Robert, look at the question. So let me make sure here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Number 7, Robert, is yours. So thank you for that. Yeah. You're number 7, in fact, Robert, my bad. I don't know if I said 6, but originally I designated 7 to you. So premise indicator words. Andrew, I've got yours. Okay, and Phi, I see that. All right, great. So now, here, let me just go over all the information that you guys have compiled. So starting, I'm just going to go in the order listed by the students. So where you see the live chat and Wesley starts giving answers, that's for question 5. What is a belief? Okay, a belief is simply when a person thinks that a statement is true. It doesn't mean that it is true. It means that a person thinks it's true. So like a person could believe that the earth is flat even though it's not. Therefore, beliefs are just kind of subjective. They depend on an individual's point of view or judgment. 2 people can have opposite beliefs. Like one person thinks that God exists and the other person does not. So yes, a belief is when one thinks that a claim is true. Okay, now, Andy, you had question 3, which says, what are the parts of an argument? Okay, so the parts of an argument are these, premises and the conclusion. And the premises are the evidence that supports the conclusion. They're the reasons and the evidence. And the conclusion is the statement that you're trying to prove to be true. So you should have said that too about the conclusion. You gave a good definition of premise, but the conclusion is the main point of the argument. It's the thing that you're trying to show or prove. Okay, good. Hilario, your question, which is number 2, says, what is an argument? Okay, an argument is a set of 2 or more sentences, correct, where one of the sentences is the conclusion and all the other sentences are the premises. And the definition of premises and conclusion you see there in Andy's response. Okay, so I'm moving down to Jasmine, who has number 4. What's the definition of truth? Right, sentences, assertions, beliefs, thoughts, or propositions that are said to agree with the facts or to state what is the case. Yeah, that's a very formal and long definition. I'm not sure why it has to be so technical sounding. It's just when what the sentence says matches reality. So it's when the sentence correctly describes the facts. If I'm telling you right now I'm wearing glasses, is that true? Yes, it's evidently true because this is what is really happening. If I told you that I'm wearing a hat right now, that's a false statement because it's what I'm saying, but it's not what's really happening in fact. So statements are true when they line up with the facts, when they match the facts. And critical thinkers only want to believe the things that are true, because to believe what is false by definition is to get things wrong, to think that the world is a certain way, but it's not actually really that way. The whole point of this class is to get you better at making judgments in terms of having a better and more true conception of reality. So yes, a true statement is when a sentence matches reality. So then I see next, moving down a little bit, we had that little discussion with you guys. Amber, back at the beginning, what's a good critical thinker? Well, Amber, I understand that you're relying on the text a lot, but if you were back at the first couple of meetings, we had a little bit more of an informal discussion of this in the class. So what's a good critical thinker? You know, you're just listing all the qualities of good critical thinkers. That's not the question I'm asking, though. A good critical thinker overall is a person that will not believe a claim unless it is based on good evidence or arguments. And when they make claims to others, they provide good evidence or arguments to back their claims. A bad critical thinker, which you did not attempt to say, even though that's part of the question, is a person like the opposite, who will believe claims even if there's no good evidence or argument behind it. And when they make claims, they're not capable or able to provide good evidence or arguments to support them. Okay, so good critical thinkers, there's an incoming and an outgoing flow of information that's possible. When the information's coming into you, when it's being sent to you, you vet it. You make sure that it's got good reasons before you're willing to believe it. And when you're the one putting information out there and putting out statements, you provide good evidence or arguments to back yourself up. If you're a bad critical thinker, you can't do either thing. When you believe things, you believe them whether they have evidence behind them or not. And you don't provide evidence or arguments when you make claims to people. So that's the real concept of a good or a bad critical thinker. Now, Ruby, what are some conclusion indicator words? So you gave 3, but you didn't give the most popular one of all. So hence, thus, so, but the most famous of all is therefore. Robert, I noticed that in your first attempted answer where you thought you were getting 6, you mentioned that. So therefore, thus, hence, so, it follows that, consequently. These are all words which indicate that the conclusion of an argument follows. Okay, next up, Andrew, what is an interrogative sentence? It is simply a question, right? So it's any sentence which ends with a question mark. What day is it? What is your favorite color? Where's the bathroom? You know, any question that you can possibly dream up is formally known as an interrogative. Okay, now 5. Wait, hold on. Andrew, okay. You write number 8, but you're answering number 9. Because number 9 says, what is an interrogative? Number 8 asks, what is an imperative? Let's please just carefully view the list. So the question itself is, what's an imperative? That's what number 8 said. Imperative, what is it? It's a command, like write this down, or put away your phone, right? Like a command given to you. That's what an imperative is. Okay, so did I get all of the information there? I think so. Everything's been covered. Good. So now hopefully we're all together as one. We all have the study guide, and we're ready to go with batch number 2 of the questions. So once again, we're going to do the same process a couple more times to get through the list. When just write that you're present. So for now, that's your assigned task. Simply just write present in this live chat, and then when I see the full list of people, I'm going to assign you a new question. So just go ahead and let me see that. Present, 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 good. So there's 3 so far. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Hello, did you hear me? You just have to write present in the live chat, then we can go on and continue, so please do so. Thank you. We cannot logically have less than we had prior to that. No, it's okay. But please, it's not a request. You're ordered right now to write the word present, please, in the live chat so that we can continue the review session. Yes, you who have not written the word present, just have to type it in so that we can continue and not make waste of our time. I mean, for example, Amber, you just gave an answer. Where are you at? Can you hear me? Is your speakers turned on? I just would like to have another individual please say the word present so that I can continue with the review session. But, I mean, I don't see how it's possible to worry about the level of engagement because you're not even really in a classroom. For now, I guess we'll go with this set of 8, but to you 8 people, you have to do all the other ones after this too. So you can't like duck out when I'm asking next time. All right, so starting off then with the next question in the list. We got as far as number 9, right? So starting here with Andy, you got number 10. This is under chapter 8 still. So Andy, 10, Andrew, 11, Ruby, 12, Robert, 13, Hilario, 14, Wesley, 15, Jasmine, 16, Dominic, 17. Okay, so quickly get those answers out there, and then we'll move on from that. Just take a few minutes, and then we'll get the information. It's good because, right, having all the things typed out in the live chat creates a nice, handy, permanent record because that live chat stays up. It's all in the study guide under chapter 8. We're just going through it in the same order listed, starting from the start, going to the end. So Dominic, which question did you have? I think it was 17. Yeah, you're number 17, Dominic. Good. Okay, so we got 2, 3. Make sure to provide the number of the question you had in the chat as well. Thanks. Okay, good. So far, so good. There's 4 of them. We're halfway home. Okay, see Robert there. Jasmine, thank you. So far, so good. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Andrew, no. Andrew, come on. We're going through the list in the order provided by the study guide. So we're in chapter 8. It's the front page. Chapter 8 is the beginning of the class. So when I'm saying do number 11, it's under chapter 8. So Jasmine is not the correct answer either, though. An argument, as you should know, is not just one sentence. So whatever you're saying in terms of number 16, you got to correct that. You got to give a different answer. Disjunctive syllogism, argument is not one sentence by itself. That's not an argument. An argument has to have at least 2 sentences, as you can see above. It's a minimum of 2 sentences with a conclusion and at least one premise. All right, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, good. Hilaria, you got a lot of stuff over here. What are you writing? I'll get to that. Andrew, I gave you 2 study guides. There's one that's for the midterm, and there's one that's for after the midterm. The first one I mailed you is the one we're doing now, because it's earlier. And you'd know that just by looking at the information. So look at the correct study guide, and you're doing question 11 under chapter 8. All right, so let's see. I'll go ahead and start going through the information, but Andrew, let's pick up the speed a little bit because we got to be all together. If you're still looking for information while everyone else is talking about the answers, you're not getting the full value of hearing the answers. Okay. All right, I see there. Robert, your argument is incomplete too. So you don't have a conclusion. It says all men are 10 feet tall and Kevin Hart is a man. But yeah, I know you got 13, Robert, but your answer is wrong anyway. You got to write the conclusion. So Hilario will do his number 14. Well, he did 14. Robert, you're doing 13, and you almost got it, but you're missing the conclusion of that argument. So Robert, I'm waiting for your correction, and Andrew, I'm waiting for your answer. So while you guys are doing that, I'm going to go back up here and start going through the information that others have provided. Okay, so Andy, you have number 10. The question was, what is an assertoric sentence? Okay, so an assertoric sentence is just a sentence that is either true or false. So like if I say Las Vegas is in Nevada, that's a true assertion. If I say Las Vegas is in California, that's a false assertion, but they're both assertions. So anything that has a truth value. And those are important because they're the only kind of sentences that are used in logical arguments as premises or conclusions. Okay, now Ruby, your question was number 12, which is what is a definition of soundness? Okay, so sound means that the argument is valid and that all the premises are true. Correct. Exactly. And I mean, Andrew, if you could help me with number 11, that would be great because it's kind of connected to the other information that some of these other questions involve. But I got to wait for it, so I'll move on. Next, it's Wesley. Question 15, the definition of inductively strong and inductively weak. So you didn't do half of it, but, oh, well, I see you give an example of inductively weak. But let's go over what you wrote. So inductively strong arguments mean that if all the premises are true, then the conclusion is highly likely to be true. Correct. Yeah, so if the premises are true, then the conclusion is probably true. Can't guarantee it, but probably it would be. So inductively weak is just the opposite, where if the premises are true, still the conclusion is not really that likely. So not probable based on the premises. And the example that you gave is that the sun has come up every day for thousands of years. Therefore, you have to write the word therefore, a conclusion indicator word. Therefore, it will come up tomorrow. Okay, good. That would be inductively strong, because will it come up tomorrow? I mean, probably. But 100% of the time we can't say. So we just have to kind of judge that as a probable outcome based on the vast information contained in the past. Inductively weak would be like, I found $5 on the ground yesterday, so I'll find $5 on the ground tomorrow, like a pattern that is not likely to repeat, just some kind of coincidental thing that's unlikely to be a pattern. Okay, so Hilario, you're supposed to do 14, so I guess I have to go down to Robert's example. Robert, your question was 13, and the question was, example of an argument that is valid but not sound. Okay, so the one that's correct is this one down here. In fact, Robert, may you delete the above one so that people looking at this in the future don't see it and get confused by it. But the correct one here below. This is an example of a valid argument that is not sound. Okay, so it says here, all men are 10 feet tall. Kevin Hart is a man, and therefore Kevin Hart is 10 feet tall. Now that is a valid argument, and here's why. That has to do with Andrew's response. So the definition of deductive validity. A deductively valid argument is one where if the premises are true, then the conclusion must also be true. So Andrew, the typographical errors just they won't do. So okay, so I've written the definition here. A deductively valid argument is such that if the premises are true, then the conclusion must also be true. It has to be stated in the hypothetical of an if-then. If the words if and then don't appear in the definition, then you didn't correctly state it. If the premises are true, then the conclusion must also be true. It does not mean the premises are true. In fact, you can have a valid argument where all the premises are false, or at least some of them, like Robert's example. Robert's example is a valid argument, but it's not sound. Because if those premises were true, yes, the conclusion would follow from them. But the fact of the matter is premise one is not, of course, true, that says all men are 10 feet tall. So there can be valid arguments that are sound. There can be valid arguments that are not sound. The thing they would have in common in both cases is that the conclusion is a logical consequence of the premises. But when it's sound, it's more than that. It's that the premises are also true ones. Okay, so if I say like all men have visited Mars, Michael Jordan is a man, so therefore he has visited Mars. That would be valid, but not sound. If I say all men were born on Earth, Michael Jordan is a man, so therefore he was born on Earth, that would be valid and sound. So just giving you guys some examples to think about there. Okay, so I'm going back up the list a little bit, and I see here the next one that's correct is Dominic. So Dominic, your question was give a modus ponens example. If I drink water, then I'll be hydrated. I drink water, therefore I am hydrated. That's modus ponens. The form of modus ponens is like this. If A, then B. A, therefore B. That's the modus ponens format, and you gave the correct kind of example. Okay, Jasmine, the question that you had was your numbering is a little disjunctive syllogism is number 16, isn't that correct? So, but yeah, the hat is either red or blue. The hat is not blue, therefore it's red. That's how disjunctive syllogism looks. So disjunctive syllogism, either A or B. not A, so therefore B. That's how disjunctive syllogism goes. It starts with an either-or statement. That's called the disjunction. And then it continues by denying one of the two disjuncts. That's the second premise. And then the conclusion is just the alternative other one. So either A or B, not A, therefore B. And you gave an example like that. The hat's either red or blue. It's not blue, and so therefore it's red. Okay. Okay, so let's see next. Hilario, you're number 14. And so you're supposed to give an example of a sound and valid argument, right? That's number 14, sound argument. So no man has walked on Mars. LeBron James is a man. Therefore, LeBron James has not walked on Mars. Good example. Okay, that's both valid and sound because the premises in that case are true. All right then. So next up, I see that's it. We've covered all of the ones in that batch. So very good, except for, oh no, modus tollens is coming next. Okay, perfect. So let's go ahead. Tell me who's present. Please, now that's your assigned task, just to write the word present. And then after you do that, we'll move on from there and go to the next batch of questions. So simply report that you're present. Okay, good. 1, 2. Three, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Is it just 8, 9? Okay, good. 10. Perfect. So to the 10 here, I'm going to give you guys a new question, okay? Let's try and be smooth and efficient this time. Get the right question, use the right list, type the information just, once, and number it appropriately, okay? So starting with Andy. This is the study guide for before the midterm, and we're still finishing up the first batch of chapter 8. So you've got number 18, Andy. Then Dominic, number 19. Hilario, number 20. Okay, now Ruby, jumping into the chapter 1 questions. You have number 1. Jasmine, number 2. Robert, number 3. Andrew, number 4. Okay, Phi, it's a complex one, but it's number 5. Wesley, number 6. And Enrique, number 7. Okay, so what we have here is question 18 in chapter 8 all the way up till number 7 in chapter 1. Let's try to quickly get those answers out there, and if we do this a few more times, we will all be done for this first review session. So I'll just wait until the answers come in, and then I'll go over the list in whatever order they arrive. But try to provide the number, and if you need, and like for example, Phi, you're going to need to probably create a couple of them. You just give a couple of brief remarks about each point in the cluster of terms that you were given. Okay, so no big deal. Let's just hang in there and see what you come up with. Okay, good. We got one from Andy. Thank you. Dominic, thank you. Okay, thanks. 2 for 2. Okay, thank you. There's the third one. Thanks, Ruby. Thanks, Jasmine. That's the fourth one. Now, Andrew, 5. Okay, good. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Got it. We're halfway home. Thanks, Ruby, for the extension there. And then we've got yours. First part of it there. Or that's actually all of it. Thanks, Robert. Okay. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of us. So we're over the hill. Let's get the last few. When you guys are ready to go. Thank you. Okay, that's part of it. 5. Sorry, you got a longer one there. But it's good karma for you. Okay, good. Very detailed from you, Ruby. That's great. Just a couple more responses that we're waiting to come in. Okay, great. So we see analytical, effective communication, inquiry, flexibility. Thank you. Got Enrique. Where's your answer? Hilario. Waiting for yours too. Yeah. Is Wesley in there? Okay, Enrique, thank you. Wesley. Yeah, Wesley, we got to get yours. So let's see how many are in there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. How many were there total in there? So there's just 2 more, I guess, right? Yeah, I got you, Wesley. And then there's Hilario. Okay. Yeah, all right. So you'd have added the number there, Hilario. Thank you. Okay, so now let me go at the top. Starting with Andy, the first response that came in. So your question was, what's modus tollens? And that's a good example. So what you said is, if I get a job, then I can pay off my tuition. I can't pay off my tuition, therefore I did not get a job. Yeah, that's how modus tollens works. And the logic of modus tollens is that you have these 2 premises and then this conclusion. The form is if A, then B, not B. So we deny the consequent, and therefore the conclusion is not A, which is exactly the format that you gave. If I get a job, then I can pay off my tuition, but I cannot. So I didn't get a job. Okay, good. Dominic, your question was 19, and that's give an example of chain argument. And you also, I think, gave a correct example. The form of chain argument is like if A, then B. It's just all hypotheticals all the way down, and it's if B, then C. So the conclusion of that type of argument is that, therefore, if A, then C. It connects these 2 parts, the first antecedent and the last consequent. So what you wrote down is, if I steal, I'll go to prison. If I go to prison, then I will be sad. So therefore, if I steal, I will be sad. And that's a great, decent example. Okay, so going on. Ruby, your question was about the Milgram study and what it was and what it showed. So you have a good answer. You say the Milgram study was conducted at Yale University between 1960 and 63. The experiment showed that normal people will follow authority commands even if they are unreasonable and cruel. Yes. Continued. A random participant would be assigned the role of teacher. An actor who's pretending to be another random participant would be assigned the role of learner. Continued. The teacher was instructed by a man in a white lab coat to continue to deliver shocks of increasing intensity to the learner whenever they gave incorrect answers. Continued despite the learner's frantic pleas and screams of pain. No shocks were actually given, but the learner didn't know that. And the results. Yeah, the results I think you did mention, but basically just to repeat it, most people followed all the commands, even though they were quite unreasonable and obviously wrong to do. Therefore showing that a lot of people do not think independently when they're being ordered or commanded to do things by a perceived authority figure. Okay, so then Jasmine. your answer is about the Zimbardo experiment. And you say, investigate how people would conform to the role of guard and prisoner in a role-playing exercise that simulated prison life. Yes, pretty much. It was done at Stanford University in 1973, funded by the US Navy. They simulated a prison environment where participants were placed in those two roles, guard and prisoner. Supposed to go 2 weeks. It was shut down prematurely because of how cruel and abusive the guards started to become. And it shows again that when you're given a grant of authority and lacks oversight, and then you believe you have social support for what you're doing, people can oftentimes predictably lapse into cruel and abusive behavior. Okay, Andrew, your question was number 4 in the chapter 1 material. What is confirmation bias? And you're right. That is when one only seeks out information that confirms what they already believe. So it's like you only look at information that gives you the answer that you already want to find. It's like, I don't know, looking online for information that shows that you don't have like a kind of illness that evidently you may have, right? So if you want to believe something, you can easily go out somewhere and find somebody that's telling you that is true. Confirmation bias is when your bias prevents you from ever looking at contrary evidence or information and only seeking out supporting stuff. Okay, so then going down to Robert, the question there was, what are the 3 stages of cognitive development? And actually, Robert, you're giving a wrong answer because you're talking about a different 3 stages. You're talking about the 3 stages of the critical thinking process, but that's not the same question. The 3 stages of cognitive development are dualism, relativism, and commitment. Okay, so I'll just tell you guys what they are, but your answer is actually wrong, so I'm going to have to just delete it. Okay, so dualism is when you think that truth is all clear-cut and black and white, and that authority figures know the answers to everything. So you just listen to them and follow what they say, and you don't think for yourself. The second stage is relativism, where you think that truth is just personal opinion, and there's actually no objective truth. So we should just grant that all the opinions are equal and not judge them. The third stage is commitment. That's where you commit to your own views based on reason and the best available evidence. So you no longer think that truth is just an opinion, but you also don't just follow other people's beliefs and views. You judge things for yourself. Okay, so then Phi. Again, I know that you had a lot of information to cover. So the question you had was, what are the different qualities of a good critical thinker? So basically, on the one hand, the ability to provide logical support for your beliefs instead of having baseless opinions. That's analytical skills. Good. Analytical or analytic skills. Not analytics, but that's okay. Next, effective communication. Speaking, writing, listening well, knowing how different people's styles of communication work. Good. After that, inquiry skills. Being capable, competent to gather, evaluate, and put together evidence when you're doing research. Flexibility. Being able to be open-minded and evaluate conflicting views and the ability to change your mind or plans. There is a little more, though, that you didn't put in there, Phi, so kind of you stalled out a little bit. I'll just add the rest. Open-minded skepticism. I don't think you put that in there, right? So open-minded skepticism, not believing things unless they can be proved beyond a reasonable doubt, but still keeping an open mind to all different views until such time. The method of doubt. Assuming that things are false if there's any possible way they could be doubted. That's something that Descartes, the French philosopher, talked about. Collaborative learning, being able to work well with others to form shared solutions to common problems. And creative problem solving. That's coming up with imaginative solutions to complex problems on your own. Okay, so after that stuff, that's good, Phi. Enrique and Hilario. So Enrique, your question was number 7 under chapter 8. How does critical thinking, or no, under chapter 1, how does critical thinking help you in terms of making a rational plan of life and self-esteem? So it gives you confidence in knowing that you're able to deal with any problems that come your way, yes, because you know that you have good judgment and that you can rely on the powers of your own judgment and ability to analyze information. Good, and it also helps you to make good plans in life, which sets you up well for all the things that you might do in the future. And then last but not least, Hilario, what is the standard form of an argument? So you say, reconstructing it logically so that there are premises leading to a single conclusion, kind of. But there's something more specific to say. It's having the premises listed in a numbered fashion like this, and a horizontal line separating them from the conclusion. Okay, so you got to have this list thing, and each statement has to be on a separated line, so they're not supposed to run on one continuous line. So having premises divided from the conclusion by a horizontal line, and having each premise listed in a vertical way, as you see there. Okay, that's the standard form. And when you guys write arguments on the final, if I'm asking you, give me an example of an argument, they have to be in standard form too. Okay, good. So we got through all that. Thank you guys for your help. So we're going to just keep moving. Now, let's start with number 8. So once again, I just need you guys to report present, and then we'll go through the remaining items in the order that I see. So go ahead, present, hit me with that, and then we'll move on. So just to be clear, yes, tell me that you're here. Okay, present, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Six, 7. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 9. Okay, we got 9. Who else? Is that it? What if I tell that extra person I'll give you bonus points right now? Well, just kidding. Anyway, okay, thanks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. All right, good, 10 of us. So now I'm going to give you another 10 questions to work through, starting there with Andy. Okay, so you're at look at the study guide under chapter 1. You're beginning with number 8. Okay, so Andy, it's 8. And if you guys can sort of see the pattern, it's going to go straight down from there. So Ruby, you're number 9. Andrew, you are number 10. Hilario, 11. Dominic, okay, now we're jumping to the next chapter 3. Dominic, you're number 1 there. Wesley, you're number 2 in that. Jasmine, number 3. Robert, number 4. Enrique, number 5. Phi, number 6. Okay, so that's the range of questions. Each person has 1 question to do. When you're ready, please type out your given answer in the chat and attach the number to it if you can. If you need multiple, text, then simply continue in a subsequent one. Some of you have a little more information than others on some of these, but in the end, it's for the benefit of you and everyone that you do this, so you'll be better off. Andy, thank you. So I see your answers for that question. Well, there's one more coming, so not to worry. So we got 1 out of 10. Thank you. Okay. Thanks, Dominic. So that's 2. Wesley, you're giving us info on the types of functions of language. Great. Ruby, I see you're starting with number 9. That's awesome. Okay. Jasmine, thank you. Perfect. Phi, thanks. Good, short but sweet. Enrique, just a slight typo. The word is stipulative with the letter P. It's not stimulative, but no big deal. Okay, see Ruby continuing there. So let me see how many are reporting. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, cool. There's 2 more, I guess, to come in. Waiting on Andrew. And I know that Andrew's got a little bit of stuff to dig through. There's a couple of terms in that one. And let's see, Dominic reported. got yours. Cool. Hilario, are you in there? Not quite yet. Okay, so it's just Andrew and Hilario, I think. But I've got to wait up for a second. So we're waiting on narrow-mindedness and then rationalization and doublethink. No problem. I see it there. Well, Ruby, you're going into other topics beyond the things mentioned in that list. So I see you going on to talk about ethnocentrism and stuff, but you're stepping on Andrew's toes. That's his question. Confirmation bias is also not. I mean, I know that it could be seen as a barrier to critical thinking, and so is ethnocentrism. But the text, for whatever reason, divided up forms of narrow-mindedness from more generic forms of obstacle to critical thinking. So if you look at the precise terms mentioned in the list there, your stuff stops at struggling. So what you did provide, it's like you gave information that's not listed in your question. So in fact, Ruby, now you got to go back and give some other stuff. I know you're giving a lot of information, but you're giving information that's not relevant to that question. Just look at the terms in the question. So just going to wait then for a moment for Ruby, Andrew, and Hilario. Sure. I mean, that's not incorrect. That information is correct, but it's just information that's found for a different response. So you've answered some other stuff. I'm waiting on the stuff that I actually gave to you. So Hilario, you know your question, right? Rationalization and doublethink. And then Andrew. So Andrew, here's the thing, like, you got so many different terms in that question that you should have probably already attempted to like start talking about the first one, right? Because if you haven't started on that one, then it's going to still be like minutes and minutes until we see the four. So I guess I'll just have to go through these, and then I'll see what you write at the end. Okay, so Andy, the three-tiered model of critical thinking. This is the one that's experience, interpretation, and analysis. Good. So starting with the first, experience. That's just, you have an experience and you just point out what it was without yet trying to figure out or interpret why it happened or how it happened. So it's the what of the experience. I failed an exam. I got sick with the coronavirus, something like that. Okay, the second stage is interpretation. That's when you start trying to give the explanation or reason why the event happened. So someone might think they failed their exam because the teacher didn't like them or something, or they got the coronavirus because, I don't know, they went to like the grocery store. I don't know. Now, analysis. That's when you go back to your interpretation and you try and consider if it's really the right one or is there a better one that's a different one. So as you reconsider your first explanation, you might think there's actually a better one that's more true to the facts. Okay, so Dominic, your question was, what's language? And you have the right answer. It's a system of communication which involves symbols. And the symbols in language could be like written, they could be spoken, like language that you speak, or they could be nonverbal, such as sign language or even body language or tone of voice. Okay, good, thank you. Wes, what is the informative function of language? To make statements that are either true or false, correct. And your question was about all the different functions of language, right? So there's informative, there's directive, so that's, well, you went next with directive, yeah, so the use of imperatives to direct or influence actions or behaviors. So informative is just to inform, directive is to command, Expressive is to communicate feelings and emotions, like in poems or song lyrics. And ceremonial is used in official type situations, like wedding ceremonies or court proceedings or etc., the oath of office. Okay, now Ruby, the question for you had to do with what are these obstacles to critical thinking? One of them was ignorance, so you mentioned that. That's a barrier to critical thinking where you deliberately avoid learning about something so that you don't have to think or talk about it, really so that you don't have to take a position on it. So you might not have a viewpoint on a debated issue, but only because you're not looking at the facts. That would be the case of willful ignorance. If I jump down a little lower, now I can see other stuff from Ruby. You say avoidance. Sometimes a person will just avoid other people or information which conflicts with their established view. Right, that's avoidance, when you try to avoid people or ideas that disagree with you. So also you had anger, cliche, denial, conformity, struggling. I'm not sure if you're going to get to those, but I'll come back to it after I go through more of the stuff on the list. So then, Jasmine, your question was, what is denotative meaning? And that's right. It's just a literal dictionary definition of a word. It states the essential attributes of a word, but it's the official definition, not a slang meaning or anything like that. Okay, good. So Phi, your question was 6. What is a theoretical definition? And those are definitions of scientific terms. So like a term like mass or acceleration or entropy or something. That would be a theoretical definition. Enrique, stipulative would be the proper spelling, but stipulative definition, these are definitions that are given to new terms that emerge in the language. So like if there's a new technology, a new social custom, like a word like internet or vaccine wouldn't have meant anything like 1,000 years ago, but of course they have a meaning today. So sometimes when new things happen, we have to invent new words to refer to those things. Robert, what is connotative meaning? Based on past experiences and associations, and it could be either positive or negative, right? Like, so slang words often are connotative in meaning. If I use the word dog as a friendly term for my friends, then that's drawing on the positive associations of dogs as like loyal companions. If I use dog as an epithet to say men are dogs or something, that's drawing on the negative features of dogs as like just brute beast animals. So connotative meaning is meaning with a positive or negative spin based on previous associations, and it's usually not literal. Okay. So Hilario, number 10, rationalization. Justifying past actions and ignoring challenging claims. Kind of. I mean, it's a poetic way to say it, but it's just when you do something without any critical thinking, and then later on you try and make it seem as though it was like a deliberately chosen act that was based on a lot of thought and judgment. So I don't know. You go to a school because you think it'll be the easiest school, and then when your parents ask you why you chose it, you're like, oh, because they have a great program in whatever your major is. So it sounds like it was this like thoughtful, logical choice, but it was really done impulsively. Okay. Double think, and you continue, is just holding two contradictory beliefs at the same time and believing both. Yeah, so it's wanting to believe two things that just contradict and cancel each other out. Great, and so now I see, Andrew, you're saying absolutism, expecting and believing that authority is always correct, and that they can't be challenged. Okay, so like having absolute trust in authority. Egocentrism is believing that you're the center of all things and better than other people, so that person who's egocentric doesn't really respect contrary opinions or arguments. Ethnocentrism, a belief in the inherent superiority of one's own culture or race. It's the unjustified belief in that. So we shouldn't just say it's a belief, because it's a bad belief. It's an unjustified, unscientific belief in the superiority of a person's race, group, or culture. And then you say anthropocentrism, the belief that humans are the most important thing in the universe and that non-human animals in the environment are not so important. Okay, good. Denial, Ruby, you say, is not looking or simply denying facts instead of considering their credibility. Good. Conformity, taking on the belief of the majority or what's popular in order to fit in. It may sometimes have to do with racism, sexism, bigotry. A lot of other times it can even do with like trends in fashion or beliefs about pop cultural things. So anyway, you should think for yourself. And if you do agree with the group, that's fine, but it should be based on independent judgment. Yeah, and then I'll just add, struggling is when you endlessly debate what position or action to take and you never come to a conclusion. So that covers all the stuff in that set of questions. So I guess we got as far as number 6 last time. So let's go again and try and get another round here. And we'll just continue through the whole study guide next time. We could be more efficient with time. In the previous hour, we got through this whole list with a few minutes to spare. So I know that as long as we maintain our participation, get our notes ready, and have the study guide ready, then on Tuesday, there's no reason we can't get through everything, and we will. So just letting you know. But anyway, continuing now, please tell me you're present, and we'll just do another round. So Robert, I see you. Everybody else, please do the same. Just tap in and say that you're present. Okay, 2, 3. 4, 5, 6, 7. And yes, 8. And just a few more. Okay, there's 9. Isn't there another? Isn't there Hilario? Well, I guess he'll let me know. But anyway, for the 9 that I see here, let's just give you guys some assigned questions. So we're in the chapter 3 part right now. And that means, so for number 1 is going to be theoretical definition. Okay. So number 7, okay, no worries, got you there. So Robert, you're doing number 7 under chapter 3. Andy, 8. Wesley, 9. Andrew, 10. Dominic, 11. I see you above there, Ruby, so not to worry. I lost my train of thought. Okay, so Robert, 7. Andy, 8. Wesley, 9. Andrew, 10. Dominic, 11. Okay, now Jasmine, you're number 1 in the next section. Enrique, number 2. Ruby, number 3. 5, number 4. And then Hilario, you will be number 5 in that batch. So we'll see if we can just get through this one last section. And then there's not that much left for Tuesday, and I can quickly summarize what's necessary to catch us up then. So go ahead, everybody. You've been given 1 question each. I'll repeat. Robert, 7. Andy, 8. Wesley, 9. Andrew, 10. Dominic, 11. Now we jump to chapter 4. And Jasmine, you would be number 1 there. Enrique, 2. Ruby, 3. 5, 4. Hilario, 5. Some of these have more than others, so it's okay if you've got a few questions or a few items that you have to provide. Just try to put them in as you get them done. Okay, so Andy, good. I see that. Robert, thank you. Okay. Jasmine, good that you have the definition. Maybe you could say a thing about those words, but it's okay if you don't. I'll cover it. So we got 3 so far, 3 out of 10. That's good. 3 out of 10. Enrique, good. Thank you. That's 4. Wesley, 5. Thanks. Thank you. Okay, and 5. Perfect. Thank you. So right now it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 of the 10 answers have come in. Dominic, 7. Okay, you're going through it. I know there's a little bit more, so you've given 2 of the 4. Thank you. Ruby, thanks for that. That's good. It's the right answer. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, a couple more. I know Andrew had kind of a little more in his question because it's got a couple of things within it. That was number 10 about the 5 rhetorical devices. And yeah, I got you, Dominic. I see that you've talked about aggressive and passive. So you just need to speak on assertive and passive aggressive, and then you'll be good to go. 2, 3, 5. So who's leftovers? Andrew is 1, and I see Robert got covered. Andy, was this Raya? Dominic Nguyen. Okay, Jasmine, Enrique. Got that. Ruby got it. Phi. Okay, perfect. And Hilario. Yeah, so it's just Hilario and Andrew. And Hilario, your question is about some reliable sources of evidence. We talked about, I think, 4 of those. So let's just see if, take another minute or two, we get some content from a couple more students, and then we'll go over that batch of topics. So it's pretty good, actually, getting all the way up till most of the first half of questions done. Next time, we'll be even quicker, and we'll pick up speed. Okay, good. You've got all your information there, Dominic. Perfect. So I guess just to make sure that we're all good on time, I'll start going over the info that's already been given by other students, and Andrew and Hilario will just wait. I'll wait to talk about yours when you get it in there. So first of all, Andy, your question was Chapter 3, Question 8. What's a persuasive definition? Okay, so those are definitions that are used to get other people to accept your own point of view. Like if somebody said capitalism is theft, then they're trying to get you to form a negative judgment about capitalism by giving you that kind of loaded definition. Or if somebody said meat is murder, they're trying to, again, persuade you of the point of view they have concerning meat and vegetarianism. So those are usually definitions that you should be a little skeptical about because they're trying to shape your view. Okay, Robert Schlobem, what is an operational definition? So it's the use of a boundary to create a standardization. So like saying that over 18, you're an adult. Over 0.08 alcohol, you're defined as drunk. Over a certain BMI value, you're defined as obese. So it's kind of like where there's like a limit line, and if you go beyond that, a specific designation applies, or if you're below that, a different designation applies. So those are like operationally defined concepts. I don't know, like if we say that a person's a genius, if they have an IQ above a certain threshold, that could be another possible case. Okay, thanks. So Jasmine, what is the definition of knowledge? So you provided a pretty minimalist statement of it. It's true that those are the 3 conditions, justified, true belief. But a perfect answer would say a little bit about what each word means. So as we've said earlier, truth is when a statement matches the world's facts. Belief is when you think a statement's true. And justification is when you have good reasons or evidence to support a belief. Okay, so justified, true belief is thought to be knowledge. Enrique, the question 2 was, what is rationalism? Okay, so it's the view that most human knowledge comes from reason and abstract thought. Yes, so that's the kind of belief that math and geometry and stuff that's just purely formal and just about ideas is where most of our human knowledge is coming from. Okay, so Wesley, the question you had was, what are qualities of a good definition? And there are 5 of them that the textbook talked about. Neither too broad nor too narrow, good. It doesn't include more or less than it ought to, that's what that means. The second one, it states all the essential attributes, so it tells you all the basic defining features of that thing. Not circular, meaning that the word itself is not found in its own definition. Avoiding overly technical and obscure language. The definition shouldn't fly over the head of the audience hearing it, so they have to be able to understand it. And then finally, avoiding emotional language. You don't have to say things about like, it's amazing or horrible or whatever when you're just defining something. So that's an emotional state that doesn't have any relevance usually to the meaning of a word. Okay, so 5, what is evidence? Evidence is anything that can prove or disprove a claim. Exactly. So like, I mean, if a professor said, I didn't get your essay, and you like tried to show them your edit history on Google so that you could prove and show evidence that you actually did it before it was scheduled to be due, you know, or if you're in a court of law and you're trying to provide evidence that you didn't commit a crime, you know, that could be evidence that something's false, the allegation of guilt. Okay, Dominic, your question was about 4 communication styles. So first of all, there's aggressive. That's just wanting to get your way no matter what, even if you're hurting people and hurting relationships. Then there's passive, which is the opposite extreme. That's hating confrontation so much that you'll do anything to avoid it, and you'll probably back down if it ever happens. I'm going to go with the rest of your information just while we're on the topic. So assertive is when you say what you want or need, but you do it calmly and with confidence, and you also know how to hold back so that you just don't overwhelm people and hurt the relationship. And then finally, passive aggressive. When you don't really say what you want directly, honestly, but you still want to get your way, so you use manipulation indirectly. Like instead of telling somebody that their music is too loud, you know, just addressing the issue and being assertive, the passive-aggressive person might like turn their own music up even louder, you know, so that they kind of understand that they don't like it, but they're not going to be telling you about it. It's passive-aggressive. Okay, good. After that, there was Ruby. Your question was, what is empiricism? And so that's the view that most human knowledge comes from the 5 senses and from observation. So that's the view that's held in science and by a lot of everyday people. So the things that you can see, taste, touch, hear, and smell form the basic core of human knowledge. So that's another belief about knowledge. So then, Hilario, what was your question? What are some reliable sources of evidence? Okay, so you know, you're talking there about how to judge the quality of an expert's testimony, but that's a different question. Reliable sources of evidence are things like direct experience, where you see it yourself, you're a witness. Another would be testimony, where you heard it from someone else or you read it from someone else. Another would be inference, making a logical conclusion from other evidence, like seeing a footprint and then inferring that there was an intruder. You didn't see him or hear about it from others. You just deduced it, as it were, from the evidence that's there. And then finally, memory, which is basically just the ability to recall information that was previously perceived or given through testimony. Okay? And then, Andrew, last but not least, your question was about the different rhetorical devices. Yeah, so one is euphemism, when you try to sugarcoat the truth by replacing a negative word with a more positive one. So, you know, if I have an old car, now it's a vintage car, which sounds a lot nicer. Dysphemism is the opposite, substituting a negative phrase for a more neutral one. So like instead of calling them cigarettes, you say those are cancer sticks. Then there's sarcasm. That's the use of ridicule or taunting or irony to make fun or to deflect critical analysis. Like someone did something really, really dumb and you're like, wow, that was a smart move, you know, like, but you're obviously being sarcastic. There's also hyperbole. That's to exaggerate or to distort the truth beyond what's true. Like, this quarantine's killing me. You know, it's like I'm dying over here. This is not literally true. Okay. And then finally, deception. Well, you wrote lie, I guess. But you should be more precise, actually, Andrew, because lying is the positive, active deception. And omission is passive deception. So a lie is a little bit more specific than the concept of deception itself, which is permits of 2 kinds. Okay, so when you deceive, you could deceive by saying something false. That would be active deception. Like, I don't know, you tell somebody that you tell your employer that you're applying for a job that you never have been fired, but you actually have. That would be like active deception. Passive deception would be like not reporting it, but it did happen. So one would be saying something false, and the other would be just not including some information that others would want to know. So both are a way of trying to prevent people from getting to the truth, either by actually deliberately misleading them with false statements or by preventing them from getting the truth by withholding the information. Okay, so thanks everybody. I think we've had a good review session to get things started. We got all the way up till question 6 in the knowledge unit. So that means there's only like about 12 more or 13 more topics or individual questions on the first part of the list. So when we are back on Tuesday, I'll quickly go over those, and then we will just go through the whole remaining set of notes from the midterm and on. Don't forget that, I think I mentioned it, but don't forget, of course, that today is the due date for the 4th homework. You should have already turned it in, but if you haven't done it, I would ask that you just get it in as soon as you can. I'll be a little flexible maybe if it comes in today, but as it rolls into tomorrow and stuff, if I don't see your submission today, then I might start deducting a little bit of partial credit for each new day that it's late. Hopefully that doesn't apply to anybody hearing or watching this, but certainly you should get it in. It would not be good for you to get this far into class and then just not turn in a 100-point value assignment at the very tail end. So yes, do you have any questions for me? Is everything good? You guys are good shape all around, I hope? Well, let me know if there's anything I can do or assist you with. I'd love to do that. But for now, have a good weekend. Enjoy your time this weekend, and have a good study for your other classes, and I'll be back to see you guys on Tuesday. So thanks again, and feel free to use this, of course. All the notes that are written there in the live chat are a good typed out permanent record of solid information that can help you on your final. So anyways, then, have a good one, and I'll see you guys back on Tuesday. By the way, last thing. If you never inquired about grades from anything else, like your previous quizzes or just the whole class, you can definitely ask me anytime. I'm getting a lot of emails coming into me, though, so I would just ask that you give me about a day or maximum 2 days to reply to any questions you may have. But I've been doing that as I get them, so some people have asked. All right, guys, thanks again so much. Take care, and I'll see you back on Tuesday.